it's not a question of whether it's civilian. It's not a question of whether it's military. I once had a reporter called Kunle Adeyigbe, became a judge and retired. Who is this same Ife too? I don't know why it's always University of Ife. Yeah? The one the Lake Alabis University of Ife too. I think it was IBB University of Ife. And the students booed him. And they were stoning him. And the military governor sent everywhere that the story must be killed. And Kunle Adeyigbe was the editor-in-chief. Said, how can I kill a story of what had happened? But a press secretary came and said, we should kill it. And the man said, I cannot kill unless I talk directly to the governor. And they had to carry him to the governor, and he explained. He said, people saw this thing happen. We can report it in a way that will not be too much in bad light. But to say it didn't happen, then people will stop believing NTV Ibadan. And the day you have a story of your own, because nobody is believing the station, you'll just be wasting your time. And the administrator say, hey, I could say to something okay, Loshe. Not only that he did it, that administrator gave him vehicle to take the story to networking. So it's a question of individual character. And so when you have characters like Uloye Likala, you will understand. He had been on this side when he was press secretary, so he protected the press people. He did what it was professional. And I can say, and I'm very proud of him, and he knows that. He was a press, he was like a director of news in the governor's office. So he was managing news. He was protecting the news purveyor. But when you put the wrong people, governor, is collaborating with the opposition. So it's not, what I'm trying to say now is don't conclude that, oh, military will oppress. Civilian will be better. I know today's civilian, they are more of emperor than Kinjoluni that you work with, or Sasenya that you work with, yes, or gentleman Dayo Pupola that you work with. They are so full of themselves. They think that in fact, they are almost like the French king, Louis V. They are the state. They own the state. They put it in their pocket. So for us to be able to get free press, don't bother about who is governor. Bother about who you put as your reporter, who you put as your editor, who you put as your chief executive. That is the critical thing, in my view.
Yes.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you so much.
I may want to add in, just to support what Dr. Forbier said. It depends on two things: the character of the reporter and the character of the owner or the leader of that organization. Like Dr. Forbier went to defend his staff in the governor's office. Now, in the days of Joseph, I mean, even if it was a driver that did something wrong, Joseph would stand by that driver, would defend him. In 1974, Governor Bangboye of Kwara, he was in uniform. The wife poured the hot pap on his head while he was coming down from stairs. So the editors wanted to report the thing. Bangboye came to the Daily Times and was prostrating. He prostrated to the editor of Sunday Times. He prostrated to Bola, and Joseph stood his ground. So the story will be published. So this was a military governor doubling for the chief executive of a newspaper. And that was the kind of the leadership of the organization. In 76 February, or thereafter, or March, 73, 74. 77 January. or some February, when they burnt down Kalakuta. Obasanjo sent, I think his name is Dio now, he sent his PA to go around the media houses saying nobody should report that incident. Of course, they came to Sketch, which was being run by Jembe, the governor. But we after assuring him that we won't publish, we published the story. And I personally took the papers to Lagos, to Toll Gate. And the following day, Sunday, the Kill and Go people came to my official residence at Gbode. They beat me from head to toe, threw me to the wagon, and brought me down to Sketch. While they are coming from Gbode to Sketch, it was beating and beating and beating and beating and beating. But that did not stop Sketch from publishing. Now, the point I'm making is that it also depends on the character of the reporter. In one instance is the leader of the organization, Joseph. Here is the reporter insisting that a story must go on, whether it is military or civilian. So what we are saying is that the two, as Dr. Farumbi observed, the two work hand in hand, the character of the staff and the character of the leader of the organization. So we cannot just say military or civilian. These days, everybody knows that governors, I remember an article I said the governor is a god, something like that. The governors in Nigeria are perhaps more virulent even than the president. They are more intolerant than even the head of state. Like we said, there are governors that if you publish the picture of their wives, maybe the way she dresses or the syndicate is not good enough, the governor may ask that you be sacked or may somehow deal with you, and deal with the Commissioner for Information. The Commissioner for Information will be doubling, will be shivering when he's summoned by the governor. It's so bad that some civilian governors that we have are by far more tyrannical than military governors. So we cannot just say the press is free under the military or that the military governor or the civilian governor. It depends on the character of the people holding the office. But by and large, the civilian governors that we have since 1999 are by far more dictatorial, more power-drunk than the military governors before them.
Thank you, sir. Before I go further, I would like go ahead, sir.
Yes. So our guys have told you now the characters of the reporter, the news editor, and all that. I also think there's another angle, the third party, who, when they tell him, that story is in bad light, and he says, no, he has done his job. I've answered his questions, let him go and use his discretion. The same University of Ife, I was then producing Speak Out. So Major Ademoyega, the fifth of the 5 majors who did the first school in this country, was the guest speaker.
Majors.
Yes, sir. He was the guest speaker in Ife. So we covered the aspect of his speech, but now I negotiated, if you could please oblige me, 25 minutes only for Speak Out. And he said, why not? So because of the noise and the crowd, we now, Dr. Yemi Ogubi was then in Ife. He obliged that we could come and do the recording in his quarters. So we went, and it was the era of pneumatic tapes. 20 minutes, you must inject and insert another tape. So in the course of the interview, we were using the first tape, UHS. And I was asking questions which was useful to the audience, viewers, and my station. But the people in Dr. Ogubi's quarters now, they said they were radical lecturers. So then one of them just said, excuse me, you are from which station? I said, NTV Badon. I said, MPN station. No, you are no more conducting this interview. Your questions are sent to you from Lagos. And I was pleading, sir, please, let me finish my job. Wait until the something is aired. If not for Major Ademoyiga that day, I will not finish that interview. Major Ademoyiga now said, no, please leave him. He's doing his professional job. When he finishes and transmits, then you can make judgment. Please let me conclude the interview with him. And that's how we escaped from Ife. Years later, when I told Dr. Gumbi that, do you remember a television reporter that you were allowed to interview Major Ademoyiga and your reporters? He said, don't tell me you are. I said, I was. So all parties must remember that the journalist or reporter or the media house is not after your position or your life. You are doing, you are governor, you are ruling. The reporter is also earning his daily bread by doing professional job for which he was appointed. So all parties should please just stay clear. Do your duty. If you are guilty, go and beg. If you are not guilty, go to court. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before I move forward, I want to take this opportunity to introduce Yeye Amoye ti Yoruba Gbode. I didn't see her when I was introducing one of the Amoye of Yoruba Gbode, Dr. Adeniran Adeboye. But I didn't see Yeye Amoye. Yeye Professor Omofolabo Ajayi Soyinka is one of the Amoye on Yoruba Gbode, and I'm taking this opportunity to welcome her again to the program.
Mo kí yín o, ẹ ṣé púpọ̀ fún mo ti ń gbádùn gbogbo àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ wa media people tán ti ń sọ̀rọ̀, àwọn tán ti ṣe ògbólógbòó nínú iṣẹ́ yìí sẹ́yìn, gbogbo àwọn orúkọ tó ń dá yẹn ó kàn jẹ́ kí n máa rántí gbogbo ìgbà yẹn ni. So ẹ ṣé púpọ̀, inú mi dùn láti fi etí sí yín, láti kọ́gbọ́n lọ́dọ̀ yín.
Thank you, ma'am. So before we go on, I wanted to mention something that is very, very important to me as our honorable guests were talking about. It depends on the media house and it depends on, the owner of the media house, the bosses. I had an experience. I don't remember vividly the year and the month, but it was the time that Chief Obafemi Awolowo lost in the last election. The organization that I work for, BCOS, they were like all the time, they were always shaking. I mean, I can say that one of my guys here, they were always on their toes. They were afraid that something was going to go wrong. And they were like, it wasn't during the time of Baba Yemi Farumbi, I have to say that. It was during the time of another manager. So at that particular time, they withdrew all the other newscasters who were reading Yoruba. It was only me, Akin Soluba, and who else? Just very few Yoruba newscasters were allowed to read Yoruba news because they were afraid that somebody was going to make a mistake. Now, they brought the news, and I translated the way it was supposed to be translated. And when I had news like that, and it is during the time of politics, I learned that I have to break my sentences and make it clear in order not to allow for ambiguity. So I read the news about Baba Awolowo that he didn't. So I translated Ṣùgbọ́n Olóyè Awolowo kò wọlé. Nice and clear. I took my time. A lot of people who knew me know that I like to translate under a pressure. But during politics, I dare not. So I read Baba kò wọlé, one of our bosses who happened to be a manager program I'm not going to mention him, but that particular boss was known for just shaking for nothing. Oh, don't do this. Oh, they're going to fire us. I read my news, and this Baba called my supervisor, Bami Gio, do that. Sholama sọ pé wọ́n ní Awólọ́wọ̀ wọlé. And you could see all my bosses, Mama and everybody, they were like, one for it, Barry. At the end of the day, my boss, Bami Jojo, said, I heard the news myself. Shola was very clear. She said, Ṣùgbọ́n kò wọlé. So what was difficult there? But before that time, everybody, they were just, banging heads against each other for, because they were so scared that something was going to happen. Oh, we are going to lose our job. That thing continued to go on in those days, and even now. But now I wanted to ask Baba Tola Adeniyi this question. We know that the government, whether military or civilian, they feel personally threatened by media. So I wanted to ask that, was that the case that caused Dele Giwa's death? Was that the case?
I don't know. I think I will not be able to answer the question because, to be honest, I wouldn't say I was privy to circumstances leading to death, and that's difficult for me to make a comparison. But I do know that journalists all over the world are exposed to precarious circumstances, and they're always faced with threats to their lives. And without being immodest, I received a parcel bomb in 1993 May.
Wow.
Which was sent to me from my papa, and it was taken to Tangisha by Ugochukwu and Farouk, who we raised alarm that it was a parcel bomb. And truly, when it got to Tangisha, the bomb disposal unit confirmed that it was a bomb that would have been very devastating. In fact, the entire Kakawa would have been blown off if that parcel had exploded. So what I'm saying in essence that the dangers are always present, but the specifics of Dele Giwa's death will be something that will be out of my scope and out of my reach, because I will not say that I was privy to the details that led to a summary execution.
Any Oloye Lekalabi, do you have a comment before I go to Baba?
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, Shola. Dr. Farumbi has told us the history of Daily Sketch. Daily Sketch came about when Premier Samuel Ladoke Akintola government broke away from the action group, and they needed a voice. So they started Sketch from Lagos before moving it in 1964 to Obadebimpe Road, the former headquarters. And it was a great paper in Western region. If you wanted to buy Sketch, you must buy another newspaper. It was a condition. But suddenly Sketch dropped from circulation. Why? Self-censorship. It was closed by the Babangida government, like the Guardian and the Concord and Punch. And when they reopened, the public expected Sketch to also stand shoulder to shoulder with Guardian, Punch, and Concord over June 12th. Suddenly, front page sketch, if you didn't see the picture of Abacha, you will see the picture and story of his wife, page 3. And they said they were doing proportional reporting, wives of military administrators or military administrators, from front page, page 2, 3, 4, 5. So adverts started dropping. Patronage started dropping. The Yorubas were unhappy that their paper, which they said was the voice for the June 12th protest, had become nothing. So sketch was never in the portfolio of Western Nigeria Development Corporation, IICC, and later Udua Investment Company. It was never. So we went to Abeokuta for the rotational meeting of military administrators of Udua states. And sketch came there with their management, begging Udua to loan them some millions of naira for them to pick up after they had demolished the station and their head office. They said they wanted to build a plaza and shopping complex. It was the military administrator of Oyo State, Prince Oyaire, Commissioner of Police, at the end of the meeting, because sketch was not in the agenda, but because their team came and they were doing lobbying and all that, they now said, okay, let us talk about sketch. Oyaire said, no. Let sketch go and find its level. So the other papers are competing and selling and making, they were not really what they shut down. But they said, okay, Odua, give them free interest loan, which they will repay. Until I left Odua, sketch did not pay twice. They didn't repay the loan. But it was the Oyaire I want to bring up now. He said, please tell me, am I breathing down on your neck? He was asking management of sketch. So why don't you do professional service by selling what will attract your readers and advertisers? So when we look out, we must also look within. As you said, you said your supervisor was saying you said Baba Wolu. So can you
because they were so scared.
Advertiser only wa, advertiser only wa.
Eshew. Baba Farobi, do you have anything to add, sir?
No, this job is a dangerous job anywhere in the world. Richard Nixon and his vice president had a running battle with the American press. They saw the American press as hostile. I've just told you during the Falkland War, BBC was covering the Falkland War, and British troops were being killed. Their planes were being brought down, and BBC reported it, and Margaret Thatcher was livid. And of course, the BBC DG said, how can you be carrying stories that we are losing the war? And that one said, are you not losing it? So you are an enemy within the game. So it's always like that. If you have to do your job thoroughly, that somebody wants to prevent the public from knowing what is happening. It happens even now. It still happens. Manipulation of news. What I call the bureaucratization of news. They want to subject news to bureaucracy. So an assistant secretary will write the story, we send it to senior assistant secretary, we go to principal assistant secretary, we go to under secretary, we go to permanent secretary, then it will come down. By the time it comes down to the assistant secretary, what he has sent up will look completely different from what he's seen. You cannot do news like that. It's either it is factual or it is not. We all know that facts are sacred, comments are free. You have to speak the truth. You have to report the facts. But there are people who don't want the facts reported because the facts show them, the underbelly, their incompetence, their ineptitude. So they would rather find a situation in which the reporters will not speak the truth. And if they have other ways of removing him, if they can sack, they will sack. And there are those of us who've been sacked. Or they can move you aside, they can move you from your job to some other job that has no meaning. I treated all of that in one of my books that I call Controversy Within. I don't know how many places they've moved their Tola Deniji from. Moved him from Sketch, moved him from moved him from Daily Times. Or because they don't like to have what is reporting. You want to speak the truth, they don't want you to speak the truth. You have to make up your mind whether you speak the truth or you do what they want. And when they cannot move you, sometimes they can terminate you. It does happen. I'm trying to remember this one that happened in the Abacha regime. He just disappeared. Today we have not cattle or something like that. We haven't found where he is. We don't know where he is. So it does happen. This is a job that has its own risk. You want to speak the truth, there's somebody who doesn't want the truth said. Is corrupt. He doesn't know that during the Dabo issue, and I know that my friend Akoko will remember that very well, it became a serious matter. Taka, you are stealing. Dabo swore to an affidavit. There were newspapers that will not report this as part of the affidavit. But I know that there were papers that also reported it. You know, and the entire Taka versus Dabo, the Gbode administration did it exactly like it. But those who reported it had increase in circulation, had increase in audience, because they were respected by the people for being factual, believable, full of integrity, and things like that. So it is always like that. It's the risk that the professional should take. But all of that has changed. There's now an umbilical relationship. In fact, almost like a Siamese relationship, sometimes between the journalists and government. In fact, sometimes some journalists will use statements on behalf of government. They will use statements on behalf of individuals. They have become press agents to individuals rather than agents of their own organization. So, and they become so rich. In our days, you had name, you didn't have money. But today they have money, they don't have name. These are the issues.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we go to questions, I want us to look at what is happening now. I'm going to go to Oloyele Kalabi. Oloyele Kalabi, do you think it's getting better or it's getting worse, or the worst is yet to come when we are talking about press freedom, especially with what is going on with social media? When we had social media, we thought we were free. So what do you think is the situation now, even with the social media?
3 years ago, the lady who now heads the female department of the Institute of African Studies at University of Ibadan organized a seminar in Ibadan about the social media and the implications. The conclusion was, please, social media does not have somebody who just concoct a story and picture from wherever he or she stays and post it. So it is the receiver who should be cautious and ask, can this be true? Where is the link? What is the source? So the conclusion then was, please don't spread fake news. Don't post, delete. Don't help the person who wants to be seen as a blogger or something. Social media. The independent radio stations. God bless, yes, God bless the organizers, the proprietors, and the staff. The things you dare not hear on government-owned radio or TV stations are now under this comment. Olotu, the other side, the third opinions. So freedom is now at the gate of the people. Of even they've labeled some radio station as secretariat. So nothing can.
Okay. Engineer tẹ wà lọ́dọ̀ bàbá Olóyè Lékan Àlàbí.
Yeah. So freedom is more available thanks to the polarization, is that the word, of the radio stations and some TV. But some now have radio and TV channels. So the government knows that, like Fela was saying, so if you now say that you don't hear it on your channel, government channel, they will hear it somewhere else. But a word of caution, these radio stations must make sure that the news or opinions are not only free, but very viable. Unlike social media. And all you hear is, sorry, I didn't know. You must know, you want to damage somebody's reputation that he or she has built for over 40 years without proof. So freedom, only qualification, it must be true and authentic. Otherwise, I'll go on local.
Thank you, sir. Alagba Akoguntola Adeniyi, in your own opinion, what do you think about the social media being the safety net, being the salvation for the people to actually get something that is close to press freedom?
Well, I mean, it's quite dicey. Every development has its own good and bad sides. The social media serves a role in the sense that, as you've just rightly observed, in the sense that if the regular media, if the traditional media will not publish, social media will publish. Then social media also has advantage of immediacy. Before you wait for something to happen, publish the newspaper tomorrow or day after, the social media reports as it is happening. And the fact that the owners don't report to anybody, it gives them the laxity and the fearlessness. But in terms of dignity and believability, it has eroded the confidence of the people in the media. And because somebody is able to buy a 500 naira or 1,000 naira data, you just write whatever you like, just put something out there, no syntax, no grammar, no correction, no nothing. Just the modern journalism, the modern media, and they make people to believe that anything goes. And of course, why we are saying so, it also reflects the development worldwide. The world itself has become so unserious. The world has become so bad. And it happens all over the world. It's not just in Africa, it's not just in Europe, it's not just in the Americas, it's not just in the Asiatics. The thing is that the entire world has become so serious. The entire world has become so confused that anything goes. You know, I mean, they change the social parameter. When the regular media in US will say now that you can't say a woman, you can't say a man, but you say a child bearing agent. I mean, when you begin to hear all sorts of nonsense that the traditional media is spewing out, the social media comes to the rescue of the people. They just, you know, they are free to say whatever they want to say, regardless of officialdom. So most ways, they all serve their needs. But by and large, I think social media will still require some regulation, some measure of control, so as not to allow them to ruin the traditional media. And that's what I would say. And I don't see it abating. I think it's going to get worse over time. It's going to get worse over time.
Thank you, sir. Baba, Professor Farobi, my question to you, sir, is this media, whether social or traditional media, do we think they are doing enough or they are doing too much in telling the society what is going on? Sometimes some people will say, oh, they are the ones spoiling things. Other times they will say, oh, they are not doing what they're supposed to do, especially the traditional media. Are they doing enough or doing less, sir?
Thank you very much. Let me say, when you look at the social media, there might be two dimensions. There is the social media that represents the convergence of all the media today. The newspaper is online. It's online in social media. The newspaper is also running in radio. The newspaper is also on TV. So there's a convergence. The radio is also on Facebook. It's also on Instagram. It's also on YouTube. So it's no longer a radio station. It's also a TV station. The newspaper is not only a newspaper, it's also a radio station, it's also a TV station. So there is a convergence. That aspect of social media, that is a convergence of all the aspects of what you call the traditional media. And then there is, of course, the other side, which you can call the citizen journalists. Those who just wake up and write good stories. But there are those who manufacture stories, who set out to promote deliberate points of view, particularly since they are unregulated, they are uncontrolled, they are unrestricted, they are unmonitored. So they do whatever they like. It is on social media now that you can see people are being cut into pieces of meat and they show it. It's on social media that you show an accident. Instead of helping the people who are involved in an accident, people are more interested in doing a live broadcast of that incident. So they are not rescuing the people. And then some relations are told who do not even know that their child are traveled or something. They'll be seeing the first news of the death of their child on a social media. Which a regular media will not do. We must hold the story to make sure that at least the relations will have heard that their children are dead. And they're not just seeing on there. This part of it that is very, 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 very irresponsible. I mean, Akokun talked about people who are writers, who are not journalists. Now these people are not even journalists, they are not even writers. They just have money, they put data, they create whatever they want.
These bloggers.
I'm going to talk in specific about coverage of terrorists. One of the things that we know as professionals is that when a terrorist acts, the first thing he wants is media coverage. Because he wants attention. He wants the world to know that he had hijacked a plane. He wants the world to know that he has hijacked a school. Even when a terrorist operates in America. He takes a girl into primary school. The first thing he wants live coverage of that event because he wants attention. He wants to get recognition. And when he gets those two for media coverage, then he gets legitimacy. He begins to say, I want to negotiate. Because I mean, which is what we've seen in this country. We begin to negotiate with kidnappers. So you're giving them legitimacy. And what is the result of that? Paralysis of action. It paralyzes the people. It creates fear in the people. It creates remorseless fear in the people. People who would have defended themselves have now been paralyzed because of this inundation by social media, the so-called superiority of people who are not superior, the so-called capacity of people who have been defeated before. We have evidence that they have been defeated before, but the social media present them as if they've never been defeated, as if they are undefeatable, as if they are the conquerors of the unconquered. But these are people who have been conquered before. And what happens? People get paralyzed. As soon as we hear the name, they run. The regular media won't do that. And this is part of the dangers we have. Of course, we have the multiplicity, and like Oloye said, we have so many radio stations, so many TV stations, all of them private. A good thing that IBB did to liberalize it, but we found that there have been the growth rate of the station does not reflect the growth rate of professionals. The stations have grown so rapidly that those who ought to be in training are now the managers. Those who have never been trained. Will you believe somebody said on air that he's been here on radio for 10 years, he never had a script. Will you have taken that in your days? You go on air without a script? They've just come on air and say, Loni, Olóyè Lékan Làbíní kán má ṣe lékan lèkan mọ́ o. Láì wá ní kẹ́bẹ̀ sí pè wá. And there are professional callers. Yeah. When we started all of this thing, we had a delay. When we started phoning, there is a delay of about 30 seconds that allows you to know who is calling and what's the quality of the person. But today, just leads to the radio station that we know the professional caller. They just have to call. And I can start in Ekushare Gani, Ekushewa, Beshinshi, there is a scarcity of the real trained people, even for this multiplicity of radio stations. They are unable to train, and those who grant the licenses don't look at the market. About 40, can Ibadan sustain 40 stations and 510 stations? We are not vibing, some of the stations are not paying. And when they are not paying, what do you expect? The people have to now fend for themselves. So it's a real danger that we have, that if we're not careful, those who are not trained, you know what the Yorubas will say, these people are not trained, but we now have the stations in their hand as private stations. And these people are not trained and have the bloggers. They have the blogs in their favor, and some of them have 1 million followers. They have more followers than, because they are dealing with sensational news that most times are not too true. They are promoting specific interests. So they have a huge following. Some of the following is what all the newspapers added together in Nigeria don't have. So there's no time worldwide. When I was in the Philippines, as ambassador, I know the Philippine people started thinking, what are we going to do about this social media? Are we just going to ask them to be subject to the same rules as the mass media? Rules of impartiality, rules of objectivity, rules of factuality, rules of truthfulness, so that only the professionals will be there. Is the real danger that we have.
thank you, Baba. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. I'm going to give the Amoye Yoruba Gbode, we only have 2 of them here, to ask questions. Then I'm going to throw the thing to the whole house. Baba Adeboye, comment or question?
Oh, Shagwami.
Ben, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Mo kí gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ ṣáájú ẹ kú iṣẹ́, ẹ kú làákàyè.
Yes, sir.
A dúpẹ́ púpọ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ni à ń kọ́ láti ọ̀dọ̀ yín nípa ìrírí tẹ́ ti rí nípa iṣẹ́ yín. I'm supposed to be speaking English. So I want to thank you all. Much of what comment I have will be acknowledgement of the fact of the symbiosis between politics and media. All the way back to the 1850s, the founding of media, whether it's by the CMS Church initially or by nationalists later on, was to publicize what was going on in their own venture. And to publicize what's going on, you are aiming at the audience, you are trying to project your own view with a conceptual framework. And so there is a symbiosis between your political, whether it is religious politics or any other kind of politics, your political activity and the activity or the interest of the reporter. It is laden with danger. At some point, politicians were even creating their own media. In 1925, Herbert Macaulay helped found the Nigerian Daily News. In 1937, the West African pilot was initiated by Nnamdi Azikiwe. And Yoruba in 1945, and Nigerian Tetebuya. I mean, that's what we said in Gbode. In 1949. So the marriage between politics and media seems to go very far, not just in Nigeria, but almost everywhere on the planet. So the question is a question of management. The danger that we have in that kind of symbiosis, especially when one of them is equipped with power that the other doesn't have, is the imprisonment of journalists, the killing of not just journalists but even columnists. I think one might refer to who was almost simultaneously a journalist and a columnist, but certainly what's the name of the principal of Kasholari, Thinking With You. And now this morning, I learned that a columnist, Malafia, dead. And he's Obadiah Malafia, and he's a columnist with the Vanguard. We've mentioned Delegiwa, we've done all kinds of things to show that the relationship between politics and media. And are the people entitled to information? Well, one can say they're entitled to correct information. From whose perspective is correct? Is it the politician who wants to sell a political position and colonize the people's mind? Those questions are not quite as easy to answer as now as they want to be. But I'm going to move away from you, but the Lagos people. I'm going to go to Gbode, where we don't have a newspaper man, we don't have a newspaper. We just buy Daily Times, Toro, Abiro in Yoruba, and whatever we get there is the information. That's the information we have. We don't even know.
But you have Professor Williams, one of the best columnists in Nigeria.
Abro mini yemoti kúrò 52 years ago.
And he's wrong again.
I know.
Very, very reputable.
And I know, but the point I'm making is that so we were reading Yoruba, West African Pilot, Daily Times, and then because my father was an NCNC man, the Nigerian Tribune was called Nigerian Tetibuyan, and that kind of thing. But you see, I'm clearly trying to say it is the conceptual framework of the receiver that determines whether what he's receiving is true or false. I'm not saying there is no absolute truth. I'm saying that's what we were subjected to. So this morning, I had to recall the control on the press. And that dates all the way back, even to biblical times, when David was mourning the death of Saul and Jonathan, didn't he say, "Tell it not in Gath, publish it not in the street of Askelon"? So that control has always been there, or attempts to control. The people, ordinary people like me, what are we entitled to? How do we know when we are getting the truth? Is the social media so good or so bad? Or am I so illiterate until I cannot sift between the truth and falsehood of what I get? So those are responsibilities that I believe we must train ourselves about, because technology is not going to stop emerging. We are just going to have to adapt to whatever we find in ourselves and grow with it and know how to use it wisely. That's my observation as a media illiterate. But as a citizen, I applaud the professionalism that you all represent, and I want to ask a question. Okay. Nigeria, which is where we still are, and I used to be a Nigerian, now I'm extremely Yoruba. But even
Thank you, sir.
Yes, but even when we look at whatever the geography, political or social, what does the press see itself doing in securing life and happiness for the people over whom it has some responsible jurisdiction?
Okay. Baba Farumbisa.
Baba ekum ga gidi. The truth is that if you are a professional, there are certain ethics you subscribe to. Mm-hmm. It's like if you were a doctor, there's an Hippocratic oath that you subscribe to. Mm-hmm. There was a code formulated by the Nigeria Press Organization, I think it was in Ilorin, that we are all supposed to subscribe to. Mm-hmm. But we are beginning to have people who, because they are not engaged in regular media, and because they don't belong to any professional body, they do whatever they like. And we are beginning to have a danger, because really, broadcasting is already there. They will remove you from the list. If you misbehave as a lawyer, they'll derobe you. If you misbehave as a journalist, you just go away. Unless that person has money to take you to court. Mm-hmm. for libel or for slander or for whatever. So we are in a situation that you have people who are very, very powerful, but who themselves are not regulated, who themselves are not controlled. Yes, you said there's something called the National Broadcasting Commission. Yes, they control organization, but they don't control individuals. There's nobody who punishes an individual journalist for publishing falsehood unless you go to court. There's nobody who say, oh, you have done wrong thing as a journalist, we'll derobe you. Or you've done something as a broadcaster, you've not spoken the truth, we'll derobe you. And this is why everybody become called a journalist. Want to know how to write good English, become one. And if you are a good sorrow, you become also a broadcaster. In fact, sometimes you begin to trace, you begin to train people. You yourself have not been trained. So it's a dangerous situation. I mean, and you have an enormous power in the hand of people who are unregulated. You have enormous power in the hands of people who are not controlled. And unfortunately in Nigeria, there's a problem of training. In other countries, you train the journalists, you retrain them. You work in NBC or ABS or CBS or in PBC, you get training. If you work in Washington Post or New York Times or in California Herald, there'll be training. But a lot of these people have no training whatsoever. And the opportunities or the availabilities for training not there. The very famous Daily Times newspaper training center is full. We have only the NIJ. We have an entry training school. We have an NBC academic, and that's about all. So there's nobody who is training, even the professionals in the recognized organization, not to talk of those who are in social blogger. It's something we have to look up and to look at. In the Nigeria that we are in, I used to say sometimes you sit down and watch the national television and you watch all the news and you start wondering whether you are part of that Nigeria. Because you look at the news, succession of news, even in the selection of items, even in the treatment of items, you begin to say, am I still part of this country? Which is what I call alienation. They're not helping because they are not behaving as professionals. You watch a whole day, and I'm sure as you do, if you do outside and you watch the international service, you start wondering, are these 6 states or 7 states or 8 states a part of Nigeria? Is it that nothing is happening there? Is it that, I mean, you start beginning to think that within your own country, you are in a station that belongs to all of us. And this is the peculiarity, and this is the difference between the electronic media and the print media. I can buy the printing machine. I can recruit all the staff. I start a newspaper. But when it comes to electronic, I have to apply for a license. That is the atmospheric spectrum, which is not unlimited. It belongs to all of us. So even when you are given the license to operate the radio, you are supposed to do it at public interest, at public convenience, and as a public service. Because the spectrum you are using is not your property. It belongs to all of us. So when I now look at that national service and I find that the whole day, sometimes I start wondering, am I still part of it? So this alienation arising out of partisanship, what N.A.B. Kotoye once called naked partisanship, a dissemination of half-truth, half-lies, and naked prejudices, packaged on television. Then you start wondering that what do I have to do I cannot rely. Whereas in those days, I hold radio, you know that is the truth. Like you said, Baba, times Motika, pilot Motika, you knew that was the truth. But when the truth is no longer the truth, then you have a danger on hand. First, you have now to reprofessionalize them. You have to train them. You have to get them to become a professional body where they'll be subjected to individual discipline for their individual errors, the way a lawyer or an engineer or an architect or a doctor is. Unless we're able to do that, tomorrow might be more dangerous than today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Baba. Thank you so much, sir. Oloyele Kalabi, do you want to add to it? Yes, sir.
Yes, the elders have said it. May they not say it all.
Are you not an elder yourself?
Thank you, sir. The urge and the push that one sees at public functions, particularly dance halls or event centers, and everybody's taking what they call selfies. So what was a dream some 30 years ago as impossible. To appear on the screen, you must go to television house Gbode or Diba Beach, Lagos, or television Kaduna, Enugu, Benin. Suddenly, at the fingertip of everybody that's the capacity to buy a handset that has camera. So what do? They will unleash it on us once they have data. Sometimes you say, this is obscene, or this is self-promotion, or this is unnecessary. So now it is either you switch off or you change channel. So that freedom, the laxity. Some people just walk to you in parties or public places and I just I tell them, because you also check for the background. You don't know because all of my people are then they will not say, like that lady, Madueke. You remember the Madueke lady who in the days of Babangida said was a go between criminals, prisoners, and freedom, because they said her boyfriend, Kompol or Yakri or something. And the lady took, I think she used the ticket of the commissioner of police, who was in charge of something to do with security then, or drug control. And she took a shot with the late professor. Yes, sir. And she took deliberate. She took a picture with that world standard surgeon, pediatrician, Baba Oliko Iranso Kuti. And she had the photograph in her office. So whenever people had trouble and they came to the office, they were seen now with top-notch Nigerians, powerful Nigerians, as we just say, Che Oliko, Akpade dinner ni Sheraton. That she was arrested. First Lady Miriam Babangida to do business. Now today it is video. I just actually video for me. Video. Yep. Who are you? So now it is the freedom unbridled, on control, not lower far. The one I pity are those innocent children that some parents, so-called parents and guardians, are pushing their photographs or shots out as models. Innocent young girls with lipstick. There was one that was on network, social media, some 2 weeks ago, and they were doing this shaku dance. Little kids between the age of 6 and 9.
Oh my God.
Yes, sir. Shaku dress, dance. So it's not only fake news it is now derobing our valued tradition and culture, language, our food, our dresses, our names, and the things we hold there. But who is the gatekeeper? None. Buy data, post, share. Even some will beg you, please share this. Please share this.
And like.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Akoguntola Adeniyi, sir.
What else is there to add? I've already told you that it's going to get worse. This is unlikely to get better.
Okay. So what can we do so it doesn't get worse?
There is somebody here that I'm learning is from Ogobi. Adeyemo, Ayodele Adeyemo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that is.
Yes,
yeah.
I would like to be linked with him later. I would like to I would like to exchange telephone numbers with him.
Okay, I have that. Oga Mili Academy, Mutisole Kan.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
right.
you. So, do you want me to take another question, sir?
No, I was just going to. Hello, Shola.
Yes. Oloye Adeyemo.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Actually, mine is not a question, but just to align myself with all that have been said about this unregulated social media. You see, by the time we're talking of it, it's like everybody is being let's have freedom without defining it. And now the freedom is here. And it becomes a serious problem to each and every one of us, especially when you see life being wasted and celebrated on social media. Just a few hours ago, there was this video clip where a lot of human beings were massacred somewhere. They were, burnt to ashes, and it's all over. Now you can imagine the sight of whoever looks at it. And in any case, it has no boundary. Just like Oloye Alabi was saying, the culture is gone. The security is gone. And a lot of this, in one way or the other, the so-called social bloggers, they add to so much of this. Now, I've been wondering myself, as somebody who is in the media, that who is going to regulate this? How do we go about it? Recently, the government, and I think the government overreacted, so to say, when it said it suspended Twitter. Fine, if they had any reason at all. But it's beyond suspending a channel. Can we just think generally on what to do, or strategies to be put together to regulate social media? I am not saying we should not give freedom, but I am so much concerned about the content, the scope, because if I say something right out now, you in US, within seconds, no, it's a matter of seconds, the intimacy is high and you get it, and it may not be true. So these are the issues. And I think the media, the leadership of the media, the big people like Dr. Farumbi, Baba Kogun, there are so many of them in Nigeria. I think they should have a forum. We can help the government. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Ayodele Adeyemo. Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to call Dr. Fola Jogun Oluwajana. Yes, sir. Unmute yourself. Yeah, okay. You're muted.
Thank you, Olotu. Well, thank you to our veteran journalists for all they've been teaching us. Well, and I think Baba Adeboye was going to have a rest today, but he didn't. And let me say welcome to my ex-teacher, Dr. Farumbi. I'm a product of Oyemekun Grammar School. You are
Oh, yeah.
What year? Professor, it's okay. What year?
Oh, well,
Was I born then?
Probably. it's a long year time ago. Ago will tell you the year. Anyway, yeah, thank you for all you've been saying. It's been very, very educative for me. Although I wasn't very good in the media, I was probably a science student at Oyemekun. So, but nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.
My question, I have so many questions, but one particular one I want to ask is, we know that corruption is what has killed all our institutions in Nigeria at the moment. Both the political, educational, health, and every aspect of our institution is gone. Is journalism immune to this corruption?
No. Absolutely no.
No.
I've just said it. These days, journalists are on the payroll of politicians.
Oh dear.
If you look at what happened in 2015, prior to elections, this present regime that we all now lament about was stampeded into supporting it by the media. They told us they were very straightforward, it's the best that can happen to Nigeria, and things like that. They got all of us to accept that the outgoing one was clueless. Now we're going to have somebody who had all the answers to a security problem, to an economic problem. Àwọn Yorùbá ní pé a jókòó, a fi àpòkọ́, a dìde ọwọ́ wa ò tó. They now install a government that they can no longer control. That does not listen to them. But I'm told they love looking at their cartoons. So the media had changed. The media had changed, and it's tape or radio, or even some TV stations, even some newspapers. I know one particular newspaper that doesn't pay staff at all. The proprietor tells you, and I give you a business card. That's enough for you to make money. So that means you're on payroll. That's corruption. Where you are unable to pay your staff on radio and the man has to survive, he comes on air 17, 18, 24 hours every day. You have to keep on coming and you are not paying salary. So what does he do? He places his service, he becomes a press agent rather than a news reporter. So it's corruption are affected in various degrees. Also, the business. One of the things we're trying to do is for broadcasting now to have a professional body. And the broadcasting organizations of Nigeria have accepted, and I think they are putting a bill before the House. So there'll be a broadcasting practitioners bill. So that when you break the rules, you get a personalized punishment by your professional body, so that you can get derobed, you can get removed from the professionalism, you can get barred from practicing the profession. When we're able to do this, the massive corruption that is all over Nigeria and that has invaded broadcasting and journalism will remain for a long time.
Oh dear, well, so we still got a very, very long way to go.
Yeye Ọmọfọlábọ̀ Àjàyí Ṣóyínká, do you have any question?
Yes, probably.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, we are speaking in English. Okay. I thank you for all your presentations, for all the enlightenment. And you've covered, I think, very, very important grounds. I'm happy you were able to address the social media question. But I have a question on that and also another one. On social media, I know there is a discussion or controversy over controlling the social media, sort of regulating them, because it's also regulating them borders on censorship. You know, it has its good and bad times and sides. How do you think the social media could be better regulated to remove the negative sides of social media without infringing too much on the issue of censorship? And the second one, I don't know how we can do this, but I'm looking at the issue of preservation of old newspapers. I think we are rather behind on that, but is there a way now that we can start really preserving our newspapers?
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
And media and radio, like radio and, you know, all the media aspects.
I think most newspaper offices have been computerized. I mean, I'm sure the Times got computerized as far back as 1991, so 92. So almost every news, Vanguard is very good at that. I mean, almost all publications by Vanguard can be accessed from the reservoir. So that is done. They're there. They can be accessible. And because of this, the age of this digital age, whatever, I'm sure you Google any story, you will find it. You know, any story that is published by any newspaper automatically goes into what they call cloud, and you can access them. I don't think there's any problem with that. And about regulating, I agree with you when you say regulating may actually imply censorship of some sort. Looking really realistically, I don't think there's a way you can regulate it. I don't think so. Because if you say in Nigeria, you cannot do this, cannot do that, you can't stop somebody copying and forwarding and sharing something that is published in Ghana or published in Jamaica or published in Hawaii. You know, I mean, you can station a story in Hungary and say that published by so in Hungary, and it will be shared in Nigeria. So how do you stop the authorship? I think what can reduce the danger or the damage is lawsuits. If somebody publishes something that is terrible, those concerned or those offended can take the media house or the publisher or the writer to court. But again, most of them are also faceless. So anyway, you say you are suing ABC online, they don't have any office, they don't have any property, they don't have anything that you can do. Everywhere you convict them, you can't do anything to them because except the punishment is imprisonment. But if it is to impose a fine, nothing will happen because you can't recover you can't get the fine paid. So I think we just tag on as is happening all over the world. Yes, the problem of social media is not a Nigerian problem. It's not an African problem. I think it's a worldwide problem, and I don't see how the world itself can tackle it. I don't see it.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye, Yemi Farumbi, you are going to say something, sir?
Yes, there's nothing that is that cannot be done. I know countries where you don't have social media at all. No countries
Yes.
where you don't even have, you can't even access your email. It's not the best. The problem we've had in Nigeria is that we don't trust the government. And when you don't trust the government, then and it wants to interfere with social media, then they have no confidence in what they will do.
Yes.
And that's why every time they made every effort, they see it as a self-serving effort, a self-preservation effort, rather than something that is going to ennoble or enlighten the profession. I guess that over time, as Rakobu said, we're going to have an improvement of the quality of those people running the social media. When the quality improves, then you're going to find that all these tendency to go towards the lowest denomination, base false information will be removed. When people who try to run become professionally. Social media is a problem everywhere, but it is the decadence that is different. Where you have more educated people running it in some of those societies, because it's not 10 years ago that Guardian UK had the problem of social media, competition from social media. And they were facing the competition from social media because the quality of what the social media was providing was almost as good as what the newspapers were providing. I guess we will get there, but I don't think anybody trusts the government enough to want to give it the power with social media. It makes its own mistake, rather than give it into the hand of people a few years ago are blatant propagandists, but now want nothing said about them. So I think that is this, the situation. I think with time, the social media will grow. Certainly, it will.
Thank you, sir. I want to call up Mr. This is Aweda Senior at Gmail. We prefer your name, sir. What is your name? This is your Gmail address, but what's your name, sir?
Kolawole Sule.
Okay, well, what's your question, sir?
Yeah, I think I thank everybody for what they've been talking about. What the question I was going to raise had to do with what Chief Ayodele suggested. My question is, Baba Farumbi is saying we have to do this. Is there a way that they, gather together and see what they can do? Unfortunately, as he said too, that the government is like it's untrusted government. What can people do in order to make sure that this thing is done properly, the way they want it? Now, because social media, like they said, if they say they're gathering people in Nigeria, people are somewhere else where they can throw things out. So whether it's fake or not, we do say out of all rumors, there's an element of truth. Things do go out that we know is happening, but they will say it's false news, false news. When the traditional people don't give us good news, it's what the government wants them to let us hear that we are hearing. And we know it's not the truth. We got to follow whatever we get information from. So what can you do, please, to make sure that things are done in a way whereby people will be getting truth from whichever source is going to be?
May I answer that, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Chief Lekon. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Baba Sule. Our boss, admin, director of finance at admin was Chief Altin Adediji, who relocated to England about 40 or 45 years ago. So sometime he had, like everybody, that Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, was going to organize the 48th year of television, which they did. And the DG, ironically, was somebody discovered by Dr. Yemi Farumbi when he was at the university. And people said, are you going to be looking? That is the question you're asking now.
Thank you, sir.
And apart from the pragmatism of his government, Chief Obafemi Awolowo's party, the name Action Group fascinated and still fascinate people. Action. Enough of this theory. Action. I am guest on 2 weekly programs on radio. We review newspapers, news and current affairs, make our contribution, then the public will phone in. And I think with due modesty, the listeners have taken to my policy of I am a Muslim. My wife is a Christian, daughter of a Baba Ajo. Jesus Christ is my friend. So please, anything that has to do public, don't bring your religion coloration to me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So, because they will now say, Oloye, thank you. Share transformer go at you. God has given us intelligence, resources for us to put together and make life better. So action group, action. So when the authorities at Abuja said they added 40 to 1979, when the Obasanjo government overran WNTV, WNBS, Cooperative College, University of Ife, and many other things, people are saying, so Chief Fortier came from London, his base. He on by phone, excuse okay, come tomorrow. I got to his house. I met Mr. George Jobate, the DJ of decades ago, with the late Mr. Tuji Marquis. Those were the ones that made WNBS tick. And I met them. So Chief Fortier now said, what a joke, CB. 145 history. Is television 70 and 40 years old? I said, excuse me, what can I do? He said, no, don't tell me that. Go and meet Farumbi. As he was listening to them, go and meet Farumbi. Go and meet Adebayo Sonda. Go and meet Baba Antikusi and Faleti. He mentioned his peers. Organize your own record. Thank you, sir. So I went to Oga Farumbi. I went to Ambadani Kalubai. Let us take patience. When television is 60, we shall celebrate it, which we did 2 years ago, calculating that if television started in Africa from October 30, 1959, 60 will be October 30, 2019. So part of the objective was not only registering us with CSC, we are going to build, that's our Oga, new programming, build a training school, have keep records here and all that.
Okay.
So, thank you, sir. And you was celebrated with us. This is the correct anniversary. So in Nigeria, if you are not in government, there's nothing you can do. So, but people who are now watching us, how many? They only theorize. It's only theorize, blueprint. Action is that the proprietors of so-called radio stations, television stations, media, social media, dishing out falsehood must be identified in cooperation with Nigerian Broadcasting Commission and others, professionals like this and others. Let the public also support by saying, we shall not patronize your station. We are no more going to be listening to your programs because we are sources of falsehood. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I'm very grateful, sir.
Thank you. Baba, Professor Adenin Adeboye, was that the hand that you raised before, or is a new hand?
It's a new hand.
Okay, sir.
And all I want to do is make some suggestions. Some suggestion.
Yes.
I want to call social media explosion. I want to liken it to the pandemic that we are going through now, COVID. I'm not saying that they are exact. They are not, but it's something that is dropped on our planet that we aren't necessarily ready for. But whatever is happening in science laboratories, in political, international politics and whatever, all of a sudden we woke up and we are confronted with a pandemic. We are confronted with a pandemic we don't even understand enough how it's the biology of it. But we have to find a way to manage it if we are not going to disappear. So activities began among people who have the resources so to do, to experiment, to collect data, to create vaccine, and the people in this, I'm the United States. In these United States, people probably trust the government more than people trust government in Nigeria. But do you know what percentage of Americans have refused to be vaccinated? Quite a size. In other words, what I'm heading to is we have a pandemic of social media. It's not nearly as dangerous as COVID-19, but it's dangerous nonetheless, because even if it doesn't invade our physical health, it invades our psychic well-being. If we don't have a government in Nigeria that is trusted, how can we control the use and abuse of public media? Why should I wait until, government releases its own official information, which is often loaded with prejudice? Why should I wait for that to inform me? I'm supposed to be a school person. Hey, I went to University of Ibadan. But the point I'm making is, why are you telling me that any source of news that doesn't come from government or government sanction is not news? Why don't you educate me, inoculate me against the pandemic by showing me what vaccination, I'm abusing language, what vaccination I have to take in? For example, why can't we have a trusted institution at the almighty University of Ibadan that goes through all of the social media, sifts truth from falsehood, and publishes it? Then there will be that's an inoculation. It can happen on every campus, Professor Falumbi. We can make the universities our monitors, our inoculation centers that will look at what is in the public and sift truth out of falsehood. And then we who want to trust such institutions that are not being monitored by government will now say, oh, okay, then I know how to run away from the pandemic. And not all of us will do it, because not all of us will trust the process, but more will trust that process than without it. That's only a suggestion.
Ola, please, may I again come in?
Yes, sir.
Please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yesterday was the 20th memorial anniversary of that world-class surgeon, Professor Toriola Feisheton Sholanke. May his soul continue to rest in peace. Professor Sholanke was the husband of Nigeria's first lady son, Mama Folake Sholanke. Their daughter, Dr. Yemisi, qualified as a medical doctor, the line of her dad, later went to read law and also became a lawyer, line of her mom. She was the brain behind the memorial service. Okay. And there was Zoom meeting yesterday. And they used part of my archive material on the program. So what has that got to do with the analysis of Baba Adeboye? In 1982, Professor Chulanke was elected president, West African College of Surgeons. So he qualified to come on Speak Out under the general managership of Dr. Yemfa Rombi and I as the presenter. And I asked that question that day. It's in the video. I can release the, in fact, I sent it to you, Shola, the clip. Speak Out.
Yes.
Thank you. 1982. I now ask Professor Sholanke, sir, congratulations on your election as president of, sir, are you thinking of finding solution to a disease uncommon to Nigeria, Ghana, Ivory Coast, and West Africa, African continent, and the world? 32 years after, COVID reared its head. So I now went into the archive of that. God, I remember asking Professor Chulanke if his body, College of Surgeons, were thinking of an unknown disease to Nigeria, West Africa, Africa, and the world. And he said, I will try my best to quote, for Chulanke's answer was, yes, there's an avalanche of papers, research on uncommon diseases. But mind you, diseases know no borders. That was the one they exacted and used yesterday on the Zoom. Now, sir, you are saying, what is the anti-vaccination or the vaccination against these fake news and their sources? Thank you, sir. It's part of the objective of the school under the FITAC. FITAC is the Registered Corporate Affairs Commission for those who are going to be celebrating Television Africa, schools, standardization, and all, and the valued principles, qualities of your WNTV, WNBS. So it is possible. It's a possibility because we cannot just sit down and relax. As we are doing this right now, I want to cook wrong fake news. We are they are cooking.
Kí ni mo tún fi fẹ́ darí dẹ́rú báyìí ní ìsìn?
Never to do. Olúwa pé wọ́n lọ́n. Àbí same country nini. And all you are going to hear later is that nauseating remark in this country that it creep up 30 years ago. And what is that? Okada is riding against the traffic. He collides with a jeep or a car, breaks the side mirror, and the thing is dangling. Those who are not related to him, when you want to take action, who's going to pay for the damage? Somebody will not say, then one man will just come out, or woman, from the crowd. What am I later and say, "Lord, are you God?" So I tell them, hey, she and to concern mirror. Mechanic, there was something on social media. Mechanic, who they be Mercedes Benz customer, who fell off your car. Yeah, the car was badly damaged. So action, as Baba said now, must be devised and taken. But over shorty radio and TV station fake ones be married. School. Let us go to FITA school at Television House for proper training.
Thank you, Oloye.
Mo fẹ́ sọ pé nǹkan tí bàbá Muye sọ, nǹkan tó yẹ ká wò náà ni, and we will take it up with a lot of our colleagues. Because it is also possible. You want to train people, PITAC and other schools to do them. But you want to be able to monitor to say this blogger is used to telling lies. And it's not the government saying so. But a neutral body might be from the university. It may be a coalition of 2 or 3 universities doing that.
Yes.
I mean, top reputable universities. Let us see how it will work. And then, since it's not a government body, the chances are that Nigeria will trust it.
Yes.
I
Thank
think,
you, sir.
I will take this up with some of my other colleagues too, and we'll see what can be done. And Baba, we will revert back to you for more. You can think more about it and clarify it a little bit more. Then we can work together on it. True.
Yes.
Get back to you, and then see what we can do with our bodies. Workers' organizations of Nigeria, Nigeria Press Organization, and see whether we can, in fact, enable, encourage an institution like that. You can do this.
Yes.
They have a Department of Language and Mass Communication. They have an Institute of African Studies. They have a postgraduate school. They have the capacity. They have the intellectuals that can do it. They might not be able to monitor everything on social media, but
yes. Yeah.
I think the important started by an agency that doesn't belong. Chances are that they will work on that. They will trust it. But I assure you, within a week, 2 years, I'll get back to you.
And I will make sure that I work on the link and remind you, sir. Thank you, sir. Alàgbà Dókítà Olúẹkúndayọ̀, Professor Baba Ṣọ̀pọ̀nná, ẹ ti wà lójú ọpọ́n. What's your question?
Kábíyèsí o Ṣọ̀pọ̀nná.
Yes. Dr. Olugbenga Ekundayo is an epidemiologist and one who has been helping us since.
Can just save your PPT here as automatic.
Hello, Shengwami.
Please hold on. I'm trying to mute everybody because something is just filtering that is not supposed to be here. Okay. Dr. Olugbenga Ekundayo, go ahead, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Leo, ẹ̀yin kú jókòó, ẹ̀yin àgbààgbà àti ẹ̀yin ọ̀dọ́. Ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́ ń sọ ọ̀rọ̀ ńlá ni. Ó lè dàbí ẹni pé tẹ́ bá wo gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wa ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Nǹkan kan tó dàbí ẹni pé a ní ta lè lò láti fi tọ́jú ara wa. Òun ni ọ̀rọ̀ òòṣà tí wọ́n ń bọ nífẹ̀ẹ́, tí wọ́n ń pè ní olúbọ̀bọ̀ tìrìbọ̀ bàbá ẹbọ.
Ẹnu là ń bọ nífẹ̀ẹ́ ẹnu.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, òun náà dẹ̀ ń pè ní tí àwọn òyìnbó ń pè ní public opinion. Gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tí mo ti ń gbọ́ lẹ́nu àwọn àgbààgbà ní ọ̀rọ̀ ìkéde tí wọ́n fi ń ṣe àwọn nǹkan àwọn èèyàn, tí wọ́n fi ń bá àwọn èèyàn sọ̀rọ̀. Nǹkan kan tí mò ń rí ń bẹ̀ ni wípé látìgbà tí a ti ń lo irú ọ̀nà báyìí láti máa fi kéde nǹkan, nítorí pé Yorùbá máa ń sọ pé akébòsí ṣe díẹ̀ nínú ìjà, nítorí pé kí wọ́n bá lè wá bí wọ́n ṣe máa yí ọ̀rọ̀ ẹnu àwọn èèyàn àti èrò àwọn èèyàn sí ọ̀nà táwọn fẹ́ ni. Nítorí náà, nígbà tí ọ̀rọ̀ ìtàkùn àgbáyé tó dé, tí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí lo gbogbo àwọn kinní tó ń pè ní social media, ó kúrò ọ̀rọ̀ bí wọ́n ṣe ń ṣe òtú kinní yẹn, ó kúrò lọ́wọ́ wọn, ó wá bọ́ sí ọwọ́ gbogbogbò. Ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan tá à ń gbọ́n sí ni pé gẹ́gẹ́ bá ṣe máa ń ṣe nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀, òun náà làwọn èèyàn sì ń ṣe ń sìn. Òun ni pé tọmọ bá ń ké wọn ni gbẹ́nu ẹ dákẹ́ kó yé pariwo sí mi bẹ̀ yẹn, wọn ò ní béèrè pé ọmọ kí ló dé tó ń ké, kán wá rò ó dáadáa, kán rò ó jinlẹ̀, kán dẹ̀ wá nǹkan tán máa ṣe sí. Gbogbo àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tí mò ń gbọ́ lẹ́nu àwọn àgbààgbà ń sìn ni bá ṣe ń ṣe nígbà báyìí rè, bá ṣe ń ṣe nígbà tó jẹ́ pé ibi 3 péré náà ní lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, nìbàdàn àti ní ṣé Kaduna lẹ pé ni àwọn èèyàn ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa lọ kán tó gbé wọn sáyé, tó ti wá di nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé gbogbo ẹ̀ ń sìn gbogbogbò lónìí. Kí ni dé tí àwọn èèyàn wa àwọn àgbààgbà wa àtàwọn èèyàn wa tí wọ́n ṣe rò pé òkè ọmọ ló ń ké ìbáwo ni ká ṣe ṣe? Nítorí pé tá a bá ti sọ pé kí ni nǹkan tó ń ṣe ọmọ tó ń ké, kí ni báwo ni ká ṣe ṣe, gbogbo nǹkan tá à ń gbọ́ yìí tá máa sọ wípé ní ẹnujọ́ mẹ́ta ìmórí kinní kan tí wọ́n fi síta, wọ́n sọ pé àwọn ọba 5 kan ti sọ pé kò sí nǹkan kan tó ń pè ní Yorùbá nation. Gbogbo àwọn ọba 5 tàdé ń sọ yẹn, gbogbo la ti ń gbọ́ pé wọ́n ti ń sọ wípé ìjà agbára ni ìjà tó lè gbé Yorùbá dúró. Kó wá jẹ́ pé àwa ń sọ pé ká máa sọ pé ọmọ dákẹ́ torí ọmọ dákẹ́ lèmi ń gbọ́ yìí sìn. Báwo la ṣe lè control ẹ̀, kì í ṣe báwo la ṣe lè ṣiṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ tó jẹ́ pé a tún fún wa lágbára sí. Mo á fẹ́ kí ẹjọ́ ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà ẹ bá wa wò ó, ẹ bá wa fojú sí, ẹ bá wa fojú wo ọ̀nà ọbẹ̀ yẹn, nítorí pé tá a bá wo ọ̀nà ọbẹ̀ yẹn bí ìgbà tó jẹ́ pé à ń fojú kan rìn ni, àbá ń fẹsẹ̀ kan rìn, ọwọ́ kan ò dẹ̀ ṣe pàtẹ́wọ́. Nítorí náà ẹ jẹ́ ẹ bá wa wò. Ẹ ṣeun.
Ẹ ṣeun. So ohun tí ẹ ń sọ ni pé ọmọ dákẹ́ là ń wí, àwọ̀ náà bó ṣe jẹ́ pé ọmọ ò sọ nǹkan tó yẹ kó sọ láwùjọ. Mo rò pé tí mo ṣì máa gbé fún àwọn bàbá wa Yẹmí Farounbi, but mi rò pé tí wọ́n ń sọ náà ni pé bó ṣe yẹ kọ́mọ ó sọ̀rọ̀ ni kó sọ̀rọ̀ dípò kó máa sunkún. Bàbá Farounbi, ó dọwọ́ yín sà, ọ̀rọ̀ tí Dr. Ẹkúndayọ̀ sọ. Ẹ on mute sà. Àwọn oníjàngbọ̀n kan ni wọ́n jẹ́ kí n tún mute gbogbo wa.
Okay. Ẹ ṣé púpọ̀. I like what you just said. Ó kàn dàbẹ́ pé kò dàbẹ́ pé gbogbo nǹkan tá a ti ń sọ látàárọ̀ ní pé kọ́ ọmọ ó dákẹ́. Nítorí pé a ti wo ìdí ẹ̀ tó fi jẹ́ pé citizen journalism fi become important. Ìgbà tá à ń sọ ni bí citizen journalism ṣe máa wá wà lórí òótọ́. And it's very simple. Training. Àwọn tó ń ṣe citizen journalism everywhere náà ni wọ́n ti ń ṣe. Once they are a little bit more trained, that's all. Tó jẹ́ pé kí òbí tó mọ̀ pọ̀ mọ̀ ń ti kú pì sórí social media ló máa rí tó ti kú. Tó fi jẹ́ pé tí accident bá wà kì í ṣe kámẹ́rà la máa kọ́ yọ. Gàdá àbí pé ká tú nǹkan tó mú wa débi tí a dé tí mo rò pé nǹkan tó ẹ gbọ́ ni pé nígbà míì èèyàn tí èèyàn bá fẹ́ ra gàrí a máa ń yọ náà ni. Ẹ̀rí gàrí Ìjẹ̀bú, ẹ̀rí gàrí Ẹ̀gbá, ẹ̀rí gàrí Olóyọ̀. Tẹ́ bá ti lè social media Olóyọ̀ lélẹ̀, social media Àtẹ̀gbá, social media gàrí àwọn èèyàn máa lè tí wọ́n lè gbẹ́kẹ̀lé. A ti sọ dáradára wípé wọ́n lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ díẹ̀ sí ni. Kò sí pé a lè shut wọn down. Possible technologically it's not easy, but a lè help ara wa by elevating the quality of the people who are doing it. We can professionalize it. There was a time àwọn tó máa ń ṣe billboard, anybody could just do it, but eventually you have the outdoor boards Association of Nigeria. They put themselves together, they become a professional body. I want to say social media can put themselves together and become a professional body so that they can elevate themselves. All we are saying is that we can eliminate the dangers of a social media. You don't close it, you improve on what you have. nígbà tí mo ń sọ̀rọ̀ mo ní gbà míì tí n bá wo station kan tó jẹ́ pé gbogbo àná fi dá màmá béèrè pé ṣé èmi gan ìjọmọ Nàìjíríà because of their naked partisanship. Àwọn yẹn ló ní ìsìnkú kábẹ̀sì ní citizen journalism. A lè ń sọ wípé you have so many radio stations, so many TV stations, some of which the market will be sustained. But in other countries, not in many stations, not all of them are commercial. There are public service, there are those that are supported by grant, and so on. Opportunities for is it possible for us to support some of these stations by share grants so they can deal with Yoruba culture, for example? They can promote Yoruba culture. They can promote the value of Omoluabi. They can promote all those things that we hold dear to ourselves without looking for others. These are all possibilities. But kúkọ̀ máa dàbẹ́ pé ṣe là ń sọ pé ọmọ dákẹ́ kì í ṣe nǹkan tá à ń sọ nìyẹn. For example, I know people are trying to work on what they call Oodua news agency tó máa possible pé wọ́n á lè máa disseminate news to relate to Yoruba land. The same way news agency does, the same way PANA does, and it's a group of professionals. They are working on that. We are encouraging them so that authentic news, still they are not owned by government, they will be private owned, so that people can rely. What we want is in Katabari, Kali Dimubi Utito. So, Niko Moudake, I can so pay Kyo Monkoboshin so a deal dada kule sorrow. So Kukodima sort of so we these are various ways of looking at it. Something. We have about 30 social blogs. So when you isolate it, you close up on it, you help them to educate, you help them to train their staff, and then they will improve. Then, I mean, because they are creating jobs anyway, they are creating income for people. And we cannot foreclose that. We know how much Nigeria had lost by closing Twitter. It's not Nigeria government that is losing money. It's not Twitter that is losing money. They are Nigerians. It's over 241 billion naira. We know what that can do to the lives of our people. So we encourage them to become more professional. When they become more professional, they make more money. So that's what we are trying to say. We are not saying they go and shut them down.
Baba Benjamin Esson, I'm going to take the last question from you, sir. Baba, please unmute yourself. Baba Benjamin Esson.
Oh, well, your microphone is unmuted. I want to say thank you for allowing me. I'm not a member of any of your organization, but for allowing me to speak, I say thank you to Professor Fayumbi, who probably knows me. I don't know. And I think I know all of you. You have done well. There's only one thing wrong with us. There's a disconnect between the politicians, the intellectuals, and the masses. And I thought yesterday, somebody said, it is better to bring in some people who are not politicians, but they know how politics should be run. That is, they are mostly intellectuals. That how do we identify them? Bring them to the fold, because they are very important. Most of the politicians, I like to say that, are non-politicians. They're really people looking for money. They want to use it as a profession. Also, the journalists I was going to say that journalists drove some of us out of Nigeria back to the diaspora. And I think they should look into their fold also to prune people who are rumor mongers, tell you something that happened in your presence, but you think you were not there. So these are the area until we can integrate the three groups, the politicians, the journalists, and the intellectuals who are outside, plus the masses. We won't go far. There's too much disconnect. And I don't know, I have no answer. I have no answer for everything. But if Chief Farumbi, Professor Farumbi, or Baba, or the old man who spoke yesterday, Adebanjo, lawyer Adebanjo, I've been hearing his name long ago. He used to be a friend of Chief Olajide's son. And they were both lawyers and they were good friends. And all attempts were made for me to convince me to be a politician. So I'd rather be a farmer than be a politician.
Thank you, Baba.
Well, Baba, I know you very well, and I've always respected you. The danger you run when good people run away from politics that you get ruled by charlatans. Those are part of the dangers you run. We've allowed the charlatans to take over. Our lives are too important to be left in the hands of politicians. And that is why everywhere they have, people are not necessarily politicians, but they are lobby groups, they are prayer.
That is the broadband. I'm trying to it's frozen. Okay. Bóyá Bàbá Farumbi á tún ní àǹfààní láti padà, ẹ jẹ́ kí n. Is the network? Okay. Baba Farumbi, you cannot. Okay, sir, you cannot mute. I got you back, sir. Okay.
So I believe that all of us will continue to serve as a prayer group to make sure that those who are playing politics
Okay. Okay. I think it's network from Baba Farumbi.
Nigeria now one.
Likely Nigeria name.
Nigeria ni. Nigeria ni. Okay, wọ́n dẹ̀ ń sọ nǹkan tí ó dùn mọ́ mi nípa ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn olóṣèlú yẹn. So, while we're waiting for him, Akoguntola Adeniji, do you want to say something to what Baba Esan said as we are trying to round up?
Nigeria has really discouraged me from making any comments on Nigerian politics since my soul is actually out of Nigeria. So anything when they're talking about politics in Nigeria, but if you are talking about politics in Yoruba land and so on, then I might be able to contribute to it. But if it is politics, if it's a politics about a country that's wrong-headed, I rather keep my powder dry. Don't know what to say. I think Nigeria is too far gone now to be thinking of what kind of politics that can bring it back. Be that as it may, I think there's a valid point that even if it is Nigeria or Yoruba nation or Middle Belt Republic, we should not leave politics in the hands of neophytes, in the hands of mediocres. Learned people, wise people, intelligent people, educated people should be involved in politics. And more than that, or more than anything else, anybody that will be in politics for any community must have a second address. The problem we have, and we've had for many years, is that most people in politics had no other business other than politics. They had no second address. And so they would rather die there because that's the only source of livelihood that they had. So, but if you are a professor, you're a doctor of medicine, not in Gigi, who has never practiced, but you are a doctor and you have your clinic and it's vibrant and you are now rendering service to your community, then you will be encouraged to be in politics. And those are the kind of people that should run any community in the future. People must have their own jobs so that politics should just be a vocation rather than an occupation.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Baba Farombi, you are back, sir. Baba Farombi, can you finish what we started, what you started talking about before we round up? Yes.
So, those of you outside there, the intellectual, the political, the common people, and the professionals, we have to begin to work together again so that we can build a better, because it's about our life, it's about our society. No matter where you are, you have a lot of people here. So we must get the journalists to do a good job, we must get the politicians to do a good job, we must be the bridge. Èmi dẹ̀ rò pé Ọlọ́run ó fi ẹ̀yin diaspora kẹwàá ni, you are now becoming the catalyst, the change agent that is making those of us at home what we would not have seen. Torí ẹ̀yin rí, and you are now putting pressure. So I am sure that things are going to get better.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
As we keep on.
Okay. Thank you, sir. If we look at the time, we started exactly 3:03, and this is 6:23. I have learned a lot. I have gained a lot. And I'm very, very grateful to all my ogas. They've been inspirations to me. Their activities in the past and what they are doing in the present has made Yoruba Gbode what Yoruba Gbode is today. I want to start from Baba, Professor Yemi Farombi, for his continuous encouragement and support, not only now, all the time on Yoruba Gbode. I'm very, very grateful. You've been an inspiration, and your encouragement is noted. Thank you so much, sir. I'm very grateful for the time that you spent today.
Thank you. Thank you.
As usual, yesterday with Egbe Omo Yoruba, Baba Farunbi was there for about 5 hours, giving us all the inspiration that we need. And here, we were able to track him down for another over 3 hours today. I'm very, very grateful. I'm grateful to Ogami Akogun Tola Adeniyi. It's always there for me. I mean, sometimes it's just like I ambush him. I am very grateful. It is your encouragement that makes Yoruba Gbode what it is. And I can say, Ajato leni lẹ́yìn ló ń pọ̀bọ. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you, sir.
You are doing very well. You are doing well. You are doing well. You are doing well. You are doing great. We are so proud of you.
Thank you, sir. Bọ̀dá Olóyè Lékan Àlàbí Ẹ̀kẹfà Olúbàdàn, I'm very, very grateful. If people say, Shola, you are doing this, you are doing that, I'll tell them that tí mo bá ń dábí ìròmì tó ń dábí ẹdun tó ń rọ̀ bí òwe, onílù rẹ̀ wà níbì kan. Olóyè Lékan Àlàbí is one of my onílù tí wọ́n jẹ́ kí n máa jó, tí mo ń dábí ẹdun, tí mo fi ń rọ̀ bí òwe. Thank you so much. Mi ò mẹ́ntó pa ẹ̀yin engineer, ẹ jẹ́ kí Chief Lékan Àlàbí ó sọ̀rọ̀. On mute.
Kò sẹ́ni tó mọ̀ ṣe àfọlọ́hun, kọ́lọ́hun tí wọ́n máa kọ́ àwọn ṣe.
Àmín. Mo dúpẹ́. I'm very grateful to Ìgbìmọ̀, the Yoruba Gbode team. Some of us we are seeing, some of them we are not able to see them, but they are working underneath. I'm grateful to Yeye Amoye, Yeye Omofolabo Ajayi Soyinka for being with us. Anytime she has the opportunity, she's always with us. She's very, very busy, but anytime we can share our knowledge, we can borrow from our wisdom, we are always very, very grateful. Thank you so much. Pẹ́pẹ́ lowú ṣarọ́ àjíǹde ara yóò máa jẹ yín. Alàgbà Adéníran Adébóyè, ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n ìlú bàbá Ṣírò. Baba Adébóyè, like I said, more than 10 hours yesterday that he put into all these programs that we are doing. And he can't complain because he always told me in the past, go and I will be behind you. So Baba Adébóyè, thank you so much for always being there. I'm very, very grateful. Our other people didn't come, I think because of the party, the 70th birthday for Alàgbà Akinshiku, who was 70 yesterday. So that's why we didn't see Baba Ayiloge here today, and also Alàgbà Akinshiku. By the grace of God, Yoruba Gbode will continue. Next week, we are going to be talking about the peace treaty and some other political things that have affected Yoruba as a race up till now. Also, we are expecting Baba Awishe in the next 2 weeks to come and talk to us about Yoruba belief, about Olodumare, Orisha, Aje, and all that. So by the grace of God, I'll be announcing all other guests that are coming. I'm very, very grateful. And like I always say in Yoruba, ẹni tó fúnni lówó kò fẹ́ kí ebi ó pani, ẹni tó fúnni nímọ̀ kò fẹ́ ká rìn lókun àìnímọ̀, ṣé bí ẹni tó fúnni lọ́mọ kò fẹ́ kí ájà dẹrùn bí iṣu. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yèyé mi o, Ẹ̀gbìnọlá Adékúnbí, àtúnwọ̀ ẹ̀dùn ló kọ́ mi láṣà àmújèrè àṣà. Ire ní mògùn ará alágbẹ̀dẹ ibi tó bá wà ilẹ̀ rẹ ni. Till next week or some other time, I'm very, very grateful to all our guest today. And I thank you very, very much. And thank you all other people that joined us. You have really made Yoruba Gbode. You always make Yoruba Gbode. Thank you.
Dr. Farobi, good night, sir.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.